Morning, Lida. How are you?
Good morning, Hugo. I'm doing good. How about you?
Thank you very much. Same here. Thank you very much for inviting me to your podcast today. And I
Sure.
would like to discuss any topic that we might be presenting today.
Sounds good, Hugo. So, today we're gonna talk about cross-border freight between USA and Mexico. It is one of the most misunderstood lanes in logistics. Billions of dollars move through that border every single year. Most shippers don't even know what they don't know. And by the time they find out a shipment is stuck, a broker is crumbling and the clock is running, and almost nobody is set up to do it right. And today's guest is Hugo, my bestie in freight, and he's going to tell you exactly what that might cost you. So, welcome back to Your Bestie in Freight. I'm your host, Lida, as always. And today, my guest, as I said, is VP of Sales and Marketing at Blockchain Logistics, a U.S. Customhouse Broker, working right at the San Diego Tijuana corridor, one of the busiest trade gateways in North America. So again, Hugo, thank you so much for joining me today on today's call. So let's jump right in. So most shippers think that cross-border is just booking a lot and finding a carrier. From where you are standing every single day at the border, where this thinking can fall apart.
Yeah, it is not easy as you have mentioned before. It's really complex since the regions between the US and Mexico is very dynamic. You need to consider different factors, not only the cost, but also services, capacity, the lanes, sometimes congestion between any port of entry, security too. So there's a lot of factors that are involved when you're talking about cross-border. And also, when you're looking for a reliable company with the high expertise who can move your freight is also very important before deciding making.
Yeah, so what's the number one mistake US shippers make when moving freight into or out of Mexico, and why does it always catch them off guard?
The first mistake for these companies or any interested party that is looking for freight between the border is only focused on cost, and they're not looking for a reliable service, compliance, which is really important not only for the U.S. government but also for Mexico. I think besides the cost, what we need to be looking at firstly is compliance. We need to be in compliance with the US government and with the Mexican government. So, from that standpoint, it is really important to do the proper assessment since the very beginning with your carrier, with your vendor, before activating any operations. Because if you do that, obviously the cost and the risk will be higher than not doing it. You will be having a lot of problems, financial, compliance, and among others between the two borders, right, in the US and Mexico. So I would like to suggest and give a recommendation that before selecting any carrier or any vendor that might be moving your freight between any country between the US and Mexico should be doing the proper compliance assessment.
Mm-hmm. So, Hugo, that was amazing, of course, not only counting on cost but the compliance. But walk me through what about customs clearance they actually look like?
Well, customs clearance, everything is connected with the US and Mexico government. They have data that travels seamlessly between any platform. And even before crossing any freight between the borders, needs to be cleared by the US Customs and also by the Mexican Customs. And many freights and many companies and many customers would like to expedite any transportation, but they will need to wait for any confirmation and response since now, once again, compliance needs to be the number one topic when we have this type of conversation. So, uh, most likely any freight moving from the US to Mexico should be um, using around 3 to 5 hours until doing the customs clearance between any border.
Wow. So there is a massive nearshoring wave happening right now, right? Companies pulling manufacturers closer from Asia. What does that mean for cross-border freight and how it can affect the cross-border relationship and freight between Mexico and USA?
Well, eventually, the times of waiting when you're planning to cross the border, we need to explain to these foreign companies that they would like to invest in Mexico or the US or try to do any nearshoring operation, even offshoring operation, and give the complete scenario about end to end within the supply chain. And that's when we come as a blockchain logistics, as a US custom broker, to be very transparent about the times at each chain within the value process, the value chain process, just to clarify which those times are probably not controlled by our end, but external end. That means that the U.S. government needs to validate any compliance documentation before the customs clearance, as well as the Mexican government. So there are many times that need to be considered before doing any cross-border, but before doing any nearshoring operation. But at the end, when you comply with everything that might be requested by both countries, the U.S. government and Mexico, should be very smoothly every movement of your freight that you're trying to move between the borders. But once again, compliance is the first topic that um, um, has been a topic that we need to put on the table as the most important factor when
Yes.
we're talking about moving freight between the borders.
Yeah, exactly. So, what does a great customs broker actually do? What you guys do that shippers don't realize until something goes wrong?
Well, we need to give a heads up immediately to any shippers or customer that we are trying to move their freight. Give a very transparent situation about what is happening at that very moment and give solutions. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And as blockchain logistics is a licensed US broker, we would like to provide any options, any alternatives to move your freight as soon as possible. And we will also looking always to be in compliance with both parties to do the correct movement between the countries.
Wow. So you mentioned off camera, Hugo, that you have assets, right? How many trucks do you have now? And I believe that all of your truck drivers, they are speaking Spanish and English, right?
Yeah.
Most of them.
Yeah, we have around asset base of 20 to 50 trucks and drivers.
Mm-hmm.
All our drivers are bilingual. That help us a lot to enhance and improve communication between customers and between our operations and logistics department. Um, and also, when we have any project in the near future from any customer, we have very strong partnerships across the border in the U.S. and Mexico to ramp up any project and to try to provide this kind of service. So we have a whole coverage when we're talking about transportation between the borders. So most likely we should have a capacity for around 300 to up to 400
Mm-hmm.
if we combine our asset base and also our partnerships or tracks.
Yes. These partnerships, are they based out of United States or Mexico?
It's Canada,
Mm-hmm.
it is the United States, and also Mexico. We have a total coverage between those three countries since our operations go northbound and southbound between these three ones: Canada, the US, and Mexico.
Wow, that's very interesting. So you also help shippers bring products through Mexico to Canada?
Yes, yes. We are currently moving multimodal transportation. We are using railroad, we are using ground transportation, we're
Hmm.
using ocean transportation, we're using air transportation. All those combined is part of the services. So we are moving. any freight from Mexico to the US and to the US directly to Canada, or all the contrary, right? Southbound operations also we are doing within these three countries.
Yes. So tell us what commodities usually you should ship from Mexico and probably to Mexico.
Well, the vast majority of transportation that we're moving between these countries is related to electronics,
Hmm.
from smart TVs to medical devices, which is probably the 15% of the goods that we're moving from here, from the Maquiladora programs in Tijuana and all the north border of Mexico to the US. Primarily, also we are moving automotive, aerospace, medical devices, and consumer good electronics between both countries.
Yes, that's amazing. So you're keeping America full of technology, electrical
Yeah,
devices
yeah.
and TVs, right?
That's our primary target to fulfill any customer needs and also high demands of any market. Even in the US, Canada, Mexico, we will be also helping any customers to provide this kind of services. As I have mentioned off camera, we would like to serve our customers with a very comprehensive and integrated services within the supply chain to give not also custom brokerage, but also warehouse, transportation, and any consultancy services related to the trade between these three countries.
That's amazing. Hugo, so I have to ask, AI is changing everything in logistics right now. Where do you see it hitting cross-border and customs operation hardest? And do you think it's helping the operation or not yet?
Yes, AI has been a very useful tool when we are talking about any cross-border operations, since the high volume of data that we need to analyze to make any consult. It has been a reliable source that we can use for specify any subject, any situation, as well as taking any decision upon any project. We have been using this one, but also when we're talking about the WMS platform, the TMS platform, AI has been also very important to us, as we are now moving a lot of information between these countries, and we would like to obviously be in compliance to move any freight, to move any operations, even when we need to carry out any documentation for nearshoring or for shoring. This has been a great tool to be considered within.
Yeah, that's amazing that you guys already started using it. I would love to ask, what is one challenge in your operations that keeps you up at night? If you like look it like
I
more
think one
wide.
of the main challenge that we currently have is the waiting times. Waiting times are not as much responsible from our end because we depend on different processes from third parties, and those kind of third parties is CBP system, SAT system, which is related to the Mexican government. So we should need to wait until having any confirmation, any response, until doing any cross-border transportation. So even if we have any urgent or immediate service that we need to provide, we need to wait until the U.S. government and the Mexican government do the customs clearance. Otherwise, we cannot move any freight. That's the main complexity that we have between the borders.
Yes.
We always depend on what the government says about any documentation or any requirement that we need to move between the borders.
Yes. I understand. How long does it usually take? Is there any like timeline?
Well, it can take about 5 hours or up to 12 hours, or probably one day. It depends. If it's a holiday, if it's not a holiday, if it's Friday, if it's Monday. Well, it is many factors that we need to consider, but that's when the plan that's when the planning of the operations come directly to this. We need to overlook and also to anticipate any constraint between the borders and give different options. And when we anticipate any risks when you're trying to move any freight, we also provide different alternative directive to our customers to use different port of entries. If probably San Diego and Tijuana is constrained or really having a congestion to cross the border, we also been providing 2 or 3 more options to cross the border.
Oh, wow. So, where is US Mexico cross border logistics heading, in your opinion, next 3 to 5 years? Do you anticipate increase of export or decrease?
Yeah, I think technology and this AI situation nowadays will help to expedite and accelerate the cross-border operations, without doubt. I know that this is now happening, but once again, even the US and Mexico, they're doing a lot of efforts since 2024. They're trying to use biometric systems. They're trying to implement AI, but at the end, this kind of platforms needs to be adjusted and have a perfect tool to assure any compliance and avoid any risk between the borders, right?
Yes.
So I think 3 from 5 years from now, uh, supply chains between the borders should be um, expediting any operations and accelerating any requirements between the countries.
Yes. So, what about the export or import volume? Do you see it growing or decreasing?
Well, if we compare against just before the COVID, volumes has been decreasing right now. Many factors: immigration, international policies, taxes, duties. There are a lot of geopolitical situations too that are affecting directly to the cross-border transportations. And as of now, we are currently just 30% below before COVID situation. I believe this was about 4 or 3 years ago. So we are doing step by step to reach out those kind of demands just before the COVID arise directly to the US and Mexico.
Yes. Well, at least it is increasing, right? We're
Yeah,
trying
it
to
is
do that.
increasing by gradually, right?
Yes.
And as I mentioned before, there are many factors that are impacting directly to these operations, policies, trade situations, the geopolitical situation, and so on. So that's why this volume has been increasing gradually, and we are hoping that once AI and technology is going to be implemented by different countries, this will be accelerating any operation.
Yes. Hugo, talking about your asset side, right? I want to mention that this episode is brought to you by the Digital Permits book. If you are running trucks or working with carriers, you know how painful permit and compliance management is. Digital Permit book puts everything on one place, permits, IFTA documents, so your drivers are never scrambling at way station. So please check them out. It is digitalpermitsbook.com. And I want to go ahead and ask my rapid fire questions. No
Perfect.
overthinking. Are you ready?
Yeah,
Air freight or ocean freight?
ocean freight,
Customs broker or freight forwarder?
custom broker,
San Diego side or Tijuana side?
San Diego,
Relationships or rates?
relationships,
AI doing customs paperwork or human broker?
human broker,
Early morning border crossing or late night? Which one is smoother?
the first one.
Early morning? Okay.
Yeah,
Fix it now or build a system? How do you roll?
fix it now.
Hugo, thank you so much. This has been so
Thank you very much to you.
informational. Yes, I love it, and I'm sure our audience will get a lot of value. The work you are doing at the border is important, and I'm glad we got to shine a light on it today. And if someone wants to move freight through Mexico, USA, and Canada, where they can reach out to you?
Well, they can reach out directly to my LinkedIn profile. We can also go directly to our website, blchainlogistics.com, and you can reach out to clicking any icon or any image that you may have directly there. And we also have Twitter, we have Facebook, we have Instagram, we have many social media. So please free to reach out at any of those.
Yes, perfect. And to everyone listening, if this episode gave you even one thing to take back to your operation, share it. That's how we grow this community. And subscribe, leave a review, and I will see you on the next one. I will put all the links to reach out to Hugo down this video. Please check it out, and I will see you on the next one. And thank you, Hugo.
Thank you very much, Lida, for inviting me. Have a good day.
You too.